U.S. truck drivers traveling through Canada's British Columbia on their way to Alaska could be charged a toll under a new proposed legislation backed by the province's premier, David Eby. The leader said imposing tolls on trucks driving between the main part of the U.S. and Alaska may be necessary as Canada looks for ways to prevent the Trump administration from putting tariffs on Canadian goods. British Columbia Premier David Eby said he intends to introduce legislation that would place tolls on commercial trucks traveling from the lower 48 to Alaska via his province. Speaking at the Legislative Assembly building in Victoria, Eby said the move is one of the several that he is taking in response to President Donald Trump's erratic Canadian tariff plans. Eby said, "I'm here to share that we will be introducing a new law in the coming days to respond to his historic challenge, unprecedented legislation. It will include such countermeasures as allowing the province to apply fees to commercial trucks that transit through British Columbia on their way to Alaska. If a toll is applied on U.S. trucks, then it will definitely make goods costly for Americans." However, Alaska Governor Mike Dunleavy said he hopes British Columbia will reconsider their decision. Mike Dunleavy said, "My hope is that the federal governments between the two great countries work out solutions to the tariff issues, and provincial and state governments refrain from making unilateral decisions that may have negative consequences that negatively impact discussions at the federal level as they find solutions." Alaska State Senator Robert Myers, who used to be a commercial trucker when he was not representing his district in the state capital, said, "It's going to be a big deal for two things. Fresh produce. The vast majority of our fresh produce for most of Alaska gets trucked up. The other major issue that I could see is with the oil industry. If you want to get something up here fast, you put it on a truck, not a barge." Before I proceed, I encourage you to like the video and share your views on the topic in the comment section below. Your feedback is invaluable for us and a wider audience around the world. Myers added, "Statistics from the Alaska Department of Transportation and Public Facilities show more than 90% of Alaska-bound cargo is shipped by ocean rather than truck, but trucks carry high-value cargo that needs to be moved quickly. The imposition of a toll from Canada on U.S. trucks would still harm Alaskans." Jamie Benson, executive director of the Alaska Trucking Association, said that the trade group is deeply concerned by the British Columbia proposal. Jamie said such measures will significantly increase transportation costs, disrupt supply chains, and raise prices for essential goods that Alaskans rely on. She added, "We strongly urge provincial policymakers to maintain the great relationships and commonalities they share with Alaska, while our federal governments work towards solutions to avoid tariffs." In addition to the proposed toll legislation, Eby has directed the BC government to stop buying American products where possible and has ordered the provincial liquor stores to stop selling alcohol from Republican-led states like Alaska. Eby said he intends to do what's possible to remove internal trade barriers between Canadian provinces and pass legislation that allows his province to respond rapidly to Trump's executive orders. Earlier, Trump imposed 25% tariffs on Canada in a move that the country's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau described as a very dumb thing to do. Trump moved to spare Canada from the painful tariffs for a month after concerns were raised. Trump signed orders expanding the list of goods exempted from new tariffs on Canada as well as Mexico to include those covered by the Trilateral Trade Pact the U.S. President signed during his first term, the USMCA. Canada is pressing ahead with response measures. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced retaliatory tariffs, and the leaders of individual provinces have announced additional measures. In Ontario, Premier Doug Ford said that the province will begin adding a 25% surcharge to electricity bound for the United States. Closer to Alaska, Yukon Premier Ranj Pillai Pillai said Yukon's governmental liquor stores would stop buying from American companies and that the government would limit American access to governmental contracts. The United States is our most important trading partner and Canada's closest friend and ally, but this is not how you treat your friends, he said in a written statement. Pillai added, to our friends and family in Alaska, our lives and economies are interconnected, and we hope you will continue to visit our territory and experience all that it has to offer. Please know, these measures are not directed at you, but we must do what we can to stand up for our country, our sovereignty, and our way of life. In an interview, Pillai said he has heard from Yukoners who would like to impose tolls as well. Residents have also suggested banning Alaska athletes from the next Arctic Winter Games, scheduled to take place next winter in Whitehorse, and forbidding Donald Trump Jr. from the Yukon. Trump Jr. is an avid hunter who has occasionally visited the territory on big game hunts. When it comes to tolls, Pillai said that doing so would likely require the installation of toll booths, the hiring of new staff, and legislation to authorize it. British Columbia's plans were not immediately clear. Like the Yukon, British Columbia does not currently have toll stations along the highways leading to Alaska. And when it comes to the Alaska highway in particular, tolls may be specifically barred by international agreement. Myers said he doesn't think that imposing tolls would be difficult from a technical standpoint. Truck traffic is already obliged to stop at weigh stations for safety reasons, and there are few roads in northern British Columbia that is not hard to toll, he said. AB said earlier, Trump wants to annex Canada and turn us into the 51st state. It's not a kind invitation. That is a threat to Canada. Trump thinks he can bring us to our knees by threatening tariffs. Well, what he is seeing is that Canadians are standing tall. While AB pointed out land-bound trucks for particular attention, he didn't mention Alaska-bound cruise ships. Canadian action on cruise ships could have a larger impact on Alaska. An estimated 1.9 million cruise passengers are expected to visit Alaska during this summer's tourist season, and under federal law, all Alaska-bound ships must stop in British Columbia en route to Alaska. If Canada takes action on cruise ships, then Alaskan tourism will be affected badly. However, AB said that legislation allowing British Columbia to levy fees on commercial trucks going to the US will not be implemented immediately, but will be available if required, which indicates everything depends on Trump's decisions on tariffs. What do you think? What's there for Americans and Canadians in this tariff war? Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for new videos on important international topics.